And now let's go back to our top story, which is about COP29 and its outcomes from Baku. We are joined from New Delhi by our guest Suruchi Badwal, who is the Director of Climate Change at the Energy and Resources Institute. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being with us. Now, Ms. Badwal, we understand that the sum of $300 billion is a low sum. But the EU delegate says that that's what's achievable. Let's be realistic. That's what's achievable. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a great underestimation of what countries require with regards to them basically meeting their climate ambitions and the NDCs that they have stated. Somehow I feel it's a great disappointment, because I would have felt if the developed countries would have made a statement with regards to saying that this is the public finance that will be made available. But right now in the negotiations, the way the discussions have gone and $300 billion that has been committed, I think they've left it vague with regards to multiple sources through which this financing will be made available, which basically means that they would leverage onto private sector finances and other finances possibly to be able to meet this goal. Now, if $300 billion would have been purely public finance, then the rest of it that we are looking at as a gap would have been, sourced through or garnered through those other sources that I'm talking about. But now, in the current text, we are basically mixing it up and saying, this is the money that we have and that is it, that we can offer. Basically keeping many developing countries in a fix with regards to how they are supposed to be achieving their goals and targets that have been outlaid.
So you clearly believe that that $1 trillion target can be reached. To what extent can carbon credit trading work in this regard? Because, the polluter continues to pay, who continues to pollute will pay. But of course, the historical polluter, how do we get them to pay is a matter that is already up. That's what the $300 billion, the $1 trillion we are talking about. But the historical polluter, it's tough to get them to pay today. But perhaps if you increase carbon credits to some extent, there could be some incentive to pay.
So some things the markets are supposed to pick up, and possibly they will add to the kind of projects that we are talking about that needs to be basically pushed forward for the GHG mitigation that we have to see. But I do not think so that we will still be able to reach the 1 trillion mark with the kind of finances. Even if you were to bring the markets in, I think the markets only pick up the mature technologies and practices in place to promote that. So how much would it be able to push, and how much would it be able to help the developing countries with regards to meeting their goals is something that is questionable. And mind you, we are just not talking about GHG reductions and mitigation. We are locked into a phase of climate change already.
Yes.
And therefore we are experiencing the impacts of climate change, and many countries out there, who are facing these floods and heat wave conditions and extreme weather conditions, basically also have to respond to that. And, and that basically means an investment that is needed to be able to secure their own people, from the risks and consequences of climate change. And that support is not available.
Ms. Badwal, there is the moral argument, and of course the moral argument is very strong that made by the developing countries. But there is the realistic argument as well, and we know that the US President Donald Trump is president-elect, and he wants to go back on all these things. He wants to increase the sale of fossil fuels because he has them. And he wants to increase his revenues through these methods. The producers of fossil fuels also will start being encouraged and want to start doing that. Can the economy, around clean energy be made more lucrative and competitive?
Yeah, I think there are challenges that the world sees today. If I were to sum up in that context, of course, we see the biggest player, the United States, having, a different stance with regards to what it wants to focus on. And it would be challenging for the rest of the world to push this agenda, with Europe continuously, trying to put its best foot forward, with the little initiatives that it can bring in. But, it's going to pinch them also after some time, and their people. And we are already seeing that happen. And that is the reason why you didn't see them commit to a greater than $300 billion deal. It's
Yes.
very clear. And they're talking about the CBAM and all, and which will again basically have an implication both in-house with regards to trade, but also, externally to other countries who are going to get affected by trade. So there are going to be huge implications for Europe, and one will have to see up till what point will that threshold cross, where possibly, you will see them also give up. So there are challenges, but of course you cannot, in that whole scenario that we are basically discussing, with countries facing challenges in terms of, being able to secure funds and implement things to be able to limit the global temperature rise by 1.5 degree and 2 degree. There are challenges that climate change will put forth, which I think no country will be able to bear. And I think
Sure.
the administrations need to come to terms with that and understand that I think your economic challenges will grow multifold with the kind of impacts that you will basically see because of changes in the climate. And therefore, no country can afford to actually, keep their eyes blindfolded to what we are discussing.
Absolutely. They can't afford to do that, and perhaps they're looking at it financially also as can't afford to do it. That's the problem. But, on a global level, are emissions coming down, would you think? I mean, with all the efforts being made, is there a conscious effort from individuals towards lifestyle for environment? The policy that Government of India has put forward, Prime Minister's Life Principle.
So there are agencies which do, analysis with regards to the different commitments that countries, make with regards to their ambition levels. And one of the things that very clearly we say, we've holistically, we fall short of the 1.5 and 2 degree mark. That 2 degree mark is the Paris Agreement, and we fall short of reaching those goals with the current policies and plans that we have in place world over. And I think the pitch was from the civil society for every country raising their ambition with regards to their mitigation goals, so that we could at least limit the world to a 2 degree centigrade rise by 2100. And today, with the current level of NDCs that we have, the commitments that we have from countries, we are way short of that. So the objective was to actually raise the ambition. But if you see the way the negotiations have gone, where the climate negotiations have fallen apart, I think it's just basically given a message to every country, get your own house in order the way you want to. There is no finance available to be able to support you for, for the kind of technologies that are needed to be implemented, and the finance that is needed to implement those, technologies. Therefore, I think rather than raising of ambitions of countries, it's going to, take countries behind with regards to their ambition levels. And we are not sure that whatever countries have basically said now with regards to their NDCs will be able to be met, because countries don't have the finances to support that implementation.
Right.
So whatever estimations have been done, and whatever margin we fall short of the 2 degree mark, I think we will be way beyond that in terms of meeting the goals, and the gap is basically widening.
So it's left to the small island states, to developing countries, to sort of just, fend for yourself, find your way in this world. Is that the kind of message that's coming out? And, what about the fossil fuel producing countries? Are they even interested in trying to meet any goals to sort of pay? After all, if we look at the polluter pays principle, we are talking about historical responsibility. But many of those countries which basically exported oil for all these years, they don't seem to, they fall into the category of developing countries.
Yeah, they've been part of the negotiations all these years, but definitely I don't think so. They do want to have very stringent rules coming forth, which kind of affects their own economy and basically has an impact. Of course, they've been enjoying. They are rich countries. They have resources and infrastructure built, which can support them. So that's the difference that the world keeps talking about, that many countries out there possibly don't have the wherewithal to respond to the kind of risks that climate change poses, but others do have the capacities,
Okay.
and largely this is in the context of developed countries having those capacities. But if you were to see just a few months back, right, Spain was flooded, and how many people died because of the floods in Spain? Same is the case in the United States. Whenever you have a flash flood or a storm striking one of the coasts of the of United States of America, so no country is basically left with the scathing of the consequences of climate change.
Right.
Name it, be it floods, heat waves, or forest fire conditions. I think each one of us is in the same boat. And basically, the message is that we are talking about a sinking ship right now.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Ms. Suruchi Badwal, Director Climate Change at TERI, for putting us, right into, for explaining it to us so clearly, the clear and present danger that we face. Thanks.